Hello and welcome to another Java programming video tutorial. This was a little bit different because it is Christmas Eve after all, and what I wanted to do was send out a Christmas wish to everyone out there, but not in the normal way. I wanted to do it in a kind of programming way. So what I've come up with is a kind of cryptic Merry Christmas Java program. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to follow along with this tutorial, and I'm going to develop a program, and your job will be to actually write out the program, compile it, get it working, and execute the program to figure out what the program does. So I've written the program in a kind of cryptic way so that when you look at the code and when you read the code, you wouldn't necessarily know what the program was supposed to do. So that's your job. You're going to have to do that. Okay, so hopefully you'll learn a little bit along the way as well. And speaking of learning, I've got lots of Java programming tutorials on my channel. I've got a Java Fundamentals playlist where you'll find most of those videos, and I have other programming related content on the channel as well. So if you haven't subscribed already, please do so, and please like and share and comment on my videos. Okay, so one of the things that I'd like you to do with this tutorial is that if you do actually type out the program and get it working, please leave a comment on the video to let me know that you did that, and let me know whether or not you figured out what the program was supposed to do. Okay, so I'd really like that feedback. I'd love to know how many people actually try this out, so that would be brilliant if you did that. Okay, so let's get cracking on this mysterious, cryptic, Merry Christmas Java program. Okay, so as part of this program, we're just going to have a basic program. It's not a very big program. It's not going to take you long to try this out, okay? So to start off with, we will just have public class Merry Christmas. And then I will have public static void main, all the usual stuff. So nothing too unusual so far. And also I am going to need a constant as part of this program. So I'll define that first. I'll say public static final. It's going to be an integer. It's going to be called size, and I'm going to initialize it to the value 10. Okay, so that's the basic structure of my program done. Inside of the main part of the program now, I am going to have a for loop. So this for loop is going to say int I. I'm going to use I as the loop counter variable for this loop. I is going to start off equal to 1, and then I is going to be less than size, that constant that I defined, which has the value 10. And then it's going to make progress by incrementing I. So I'll say I++. I'll have a few lines of code that are part of the loop body here, so I'll need a set of brackets. So I'll put my brackets in. And the very first line of code that I'm going to have is going to say system.out dot printf. I'm going to use a printf statement here. And the printf statement is going to start off like this. It's going to have a percent symbol, and then I'm going to concatenate on a little calculation, and that calculation is going to be size minus I. And then I'm going to concatenate on another little piece of the string here, which is going to be C. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm kind of building up a string format specifier on the fly, okay, as the program executes. Okay, so I mean, that's all we're really doing here, just building up a format specifier, but in a slightly unusual way, because we're concatenating these pieces together as we go through the code. Okay, so what I want to print out then, the actual character that I want to print out is the space character. Okay, so I want to print out the space character, as part of that printf statement. So really what this printf statement is doing is, if you know how the printf statement works along with its format specifiers, you'll know that you can actually create some padding, some white space in front of characters by adding in a number between the percent symbol and C, for example, if you're printing a character. So that's all that's doing. It's putting some white space in before it prints out the space character. Okay, so it's kind of just printing an arbitrary number of spaces for this program. All right, bit odd, but anyway, let's continue on and see what the rest of the code looks like. Okay, so I'm going to need another loop here, an inner loop, and this time I'm going to use j as the loop counter variable, and j is going to start off at 0, and then the guard on this loop is going to be j less than, and I've another kind of unusual calculation here for the guard on this loop. The guard on this loop is going to be j less than 2 multiplied by, and then in an inner set of brackets, I minus 1, and then plus 1. And then we're going to increment j as part of the making progress part of this loop. So I'll just say j plus plus. Okay, let's just have a look at this for a second. So everything is pretty straightforward. The initialization of the loop counter variable is straightforward. The making progress part of the loop is straightforward, but the guard is a little bit unusual. So I don't want to say too much about this, but if you notice, the outer loop variable I is actually used as part of the guard here. And remember, I starts off at 1 and then is incremented up to size. Okay, so it's I less than size. So I is incrementing, I is increasing. So the guard is changing every time that outer loop actually executes. The inner guard changes and does more repeats because I is increasing. The other unusual thing about the calculation that's part of the guard on the inner loop is that it actually it actually enforces or ensures that the number of repeats that the inner loop has to do is an odd number of repeats, which is kind of important for this program. And you'll see why if you type out the code and you get it working. You'll realize why. Okay, so I think I've said enough there. All right. So this inner loop is only going to have a single line of code to execute, so I don't need a set of brackets. And that single line of code that it's going to execute is just a straightforward system.out.print statement. Now, not a println, not a printf, just a print statement. And the thing that I want to print is an asterisk symbol. Okay, that's it. Just a single asterisk symbol as part of a print statement. Okay, so after that inner loop has finished executing, I want to print out a new line. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm just going to use a println. So I'll say system.out.println, and I don't need to put anything in the brackets. I just want to print a new line. So that's how I'm going to do it. So when that inner loop finishes, I want to print a new line. And then, of course, we'll go back and repeat the outer loop and then the inner loop and the outer loop and the inner loop until the guards are evaluated to false, and both of those loops finish. Now, outside of that loop block, that nested set of loops, outside of that, I need another loop, and it's going to be another for loop. So this one, because we're outside of those loops now, I can just use I again. So int I is going to be equal to 0, and I'm going to have a guard that says I less than 2, and I'm just going to increment I by 1, so I'll say I plus plus. Now I don't need a set of brackets on this because the loop body here again is just going to have a single line of code, so I don't need any brackets. Okay, so this loop, all that's going to do is it's going to say system dot out, and this is going to be a printf statement again, Okay, and it's going to start off with a percent symbol, and then I'm going to concatenate on a little calculation here, size minus 1, and then I'm going to concatenate on again a C. All right, so far, if you have a look at this, it's very similar to what we had as part of the outer loop. So we're printing out a character with some padding, okay, with some padding in front of it. But this time I don't want to just print a single character, I actually want to print 3 characters. So I'm going to add in another percent %C, another percent %C, and then also I want a new line at the end of each of these outputs. So I'll put in a \n. Okay, so if you have a look at this code, I'm basically printing 3 characters here. If you look at that format specifier string that I'm building up on the fly. So as part of that printf statement, then I need to supply 3 characters that I want to print. Okay, so those characters are going to be, well, the first ones, I'm just going to hard code these characters. It's going to be an asterisk followed by another asterisk symbol, um, followed by another asterisk symbol. So just 3 asterisk symbols that we're printing out and repeating that as part of this loop. Okay, so I'll need a semicolon at the end there. And that's that loop finished. And we're on the home stretch now. We've just got 2 lines of code that we need to put in. These 2 lines of code are kind of a little bit obvious because they print out a message. So, you know, these ones, there's no great mystery about these 2 lines of code, but really the mystery and the hidden message in this program is really all of that code that you see there. The next 2 lines of code are pretty straightforward, and they're just system outs. So system dot out. I'm going to use another printf statement here, and this one's kind of straightforward because it's just %s for a string, %s string format specifier, and then I want to print out a new line, so a string followed by a new line, followed by another string %s, followed by 2 new lines, so /n/n, \n\n. So really I'm printing 2 strings as part of this output. So I'll need to supply those 2 strings as part of this printf statement in order to print them to the screen. So the first string that I want to print is going to be Merry Christmas, and that's the first string. Okay, the second string that I want to print out is it's going to start with a space, and then it's going to have a happy new year exclamation mark. And that's basically it. So, you know, it's pretty straightforward what this is doing. It's printing out Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year with some string format stuff going on in the background there as well. Okay, the last line of code that we're going to type is going to be another system.out.printf. And this one is just going to start off with, again, another string, so %s, and then it's going to be followed by 2 new lines, so \n/n, and that's it. That's the format specifier for this printf statement, and I'm just going to be printing a single string here, so I'll just supply that string. Again, it's just going to be a hard-coded string, and this string is keep programming, smiley face. Okay, so that's the program. That's it. And as I said, most of the cryptic stuff is kind of in this part of the program. Okay, it's pretty obvious that I'm printing out a kind of Christmas message at the end here. Okay, but you're going to have to type this out and try and, you know, get the code running, get it compiling, and then execute it, and you'll see what the surprise is at the end. Okay, now I need to make sure that this compiles, so I'm just going to check that it compiles. I'm not going to run it because that would give the game away, so I just need to check that it compiles. So I'll compile and it does compile, so I'm happy with that. I hope this works. I'm taking a bit of a gamble, bit of a risk that I haven't got any semantic errors in there and something odd is going to happen when you try and run this program. So fingers crossed, hopefully it works. Please do leave a comment on this video if you get this working and you figure out what it does. Okay, that would be really useful, and I think it'd be a bit of fun. So listen, thanks a lot for watching. I'd really like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot.